So you've probably heard people talk about Tesla's build quality and their paint quality. And up to this point, I kind of just ignored all those comments about that and kind of just wrote it off as people being really picky. Until I got my Model Y and realized that when you're buying a car this expensive, there shouldn't be these glaring paint issues that it has. And my Model Y doesn't have terrible ones, but it does have some very obvious paint issues. So today I'm going to take my Model Y to a detail shop and show you exactly what they're doing and the process, explain it step by step, and explain what the issues were that the car came with in the first place. Today I'm bringing my car into Detail Union in Monrovia, California. Now if you don't know where Monrovia is, it's in Los Angeles County, just a little east of Pasadena, and this is a great detail shop. I've had a great experience so far, and I'm excited to see what they can do with my car the rest of the day. What I particularly like about this shop is that they kind of specialize in Teslas. They definitely had a lot of knowledge that I had no idea about just talking to them about the paint process on Teslas. And today they actually happen to have Tesla's entire lineup, an S, 3, X, and Y, all in the shop getting work done. Now, of course, they don't only do Teslas here. Actually, the first time I came in for a consultation, they had a McLaren in here. I think today they had a Ferrari. So they deal with all sorts of high-end cars, but they definitely know what they're doing with Teslas. Now, what a lot of people recommend getting on your car immediately, especially your Tesla, is a paint protection film. I'm not doing that today, but what I am doing today is a full detail where they wash the whole car and then they do some specific things to get out any scratches or anything that's on the car, and then they do a ceramic coating on top of that. The ceramic coating protects the paint overall, and it's supposed to last about 2 years, so I'll report back in 2 years and let you know how it turned out. But for now, let's head inside. I'm going to put on my mask and walk you through the whole process. Before going inside, we actually wash the car outside, and that is this whole process that they call a decon. That stands for decontamination, and basically the goal of it is to get it so that the paint is at a place where it can bond easily with the ceramic coating that they're going to be putting on top. So the washing is this beautiful foam bath that is really, really satisfying to watch. I mean, I know a lot of people are able to do this at home. I don't personally have a pressure washer, but I'm tempted to get one so that I can do a wash just like this. It's really satisfying to wash. I think they did 3 foam baths overall where you just kind of let it sit there and then rinse it off and then do it again. And letting that foam soak there gets that initial dirt and grime off of the car, and it does a really good job. Essentially, the goal there is that it drops all the dirt from the top of the car down to the bottom, and then they use mitts to clean it, and they use the 2-bucket method, which means that you separate it, so you have a wash bucket and a rinse bucket. So you have your soap that you're getting from the wash bucket, and then your rinse bucket is just for rinsing so that none of the dirt ends up getting back on the car and scratching it. Then what they did is they sprayed it with Iron X. The way they describe this is that essentially it bleeds out all the fallout that is stuck to the paint. So that could be stuff from when it was transported or just any hard metals that are stuck to the paint, and they say this is a process that you want to do once a year. The next process they say that should be done once a year is clay barring. So they take a clay bar and go step by step all over inch by inch on the car. So you can see he was getting really fine with this one piece of clay bar, running his hand over the car, every inch of it, and then running the clay bar over it. And essentially that's getting off all of those little like specks and black specks that you see, and you kind of are tempted to do this on your car, but if you did that, you would end up scratching your car. They're stuck deep to the car, but they actually haven't damaged the paint, so the clay bar is able to lift it off without actually scratching the paint. Definitely a tedious, long process, but it was really satisfying to watch that be done on the entire car. Just know how detailed they were getting. Then, of course, after that whole process of decontamination with the clay bar and the iron and all of that stuff, they went ahead and washed it again, and then they dry it with the Master Blaster, which is basically a very detailed leaf blower that they can aim wherever they want, and that's going to avoid water spots and be overall much safer than drying it with a towel. You can still dry with towels, just make sure you're using good quality microfiber towels. But overall, they said even just like an electric leaf blower is going to be your best option. Then they did a detail on the inside and outside of the car, just cleaning all of the windows inside and out and the carpets and everything to make sure it's perfectly clean, so they have a clean slate to start from. And this, of course, is once they have brought it inside, and then they put up lights so that they can detailed see any scratches, any swirl marks, any paint correction that has been done. And this was where I was most shocked. So my car actually came with a few paint issues, a couple places where it was just straight up missing paint, and then a couple places where it was already kind of a little damaged. And it's not the kind of thing that you would immediately see, but when you go with a fine-tooth comb and look at your car that you just bought, it's a little disappointing to have any issues. If you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and hit that thumbs up so that more people can find this video. Thanks. So my car had a few issues, and I actually brought it into Tesla service. And so when I brought it into Tesla service, I had the car for less than a week. And it was really unfortunate because I ended up having the car in the shop for about 10 days. Now what they did is they sent it out to a contracted shop that fixed the paint issues. But once I saw it in the detail shop, it was a pretty bad job that they did overall, just buffing things out and leaving swirl marks and such. They could clearly say, this is where they did this is where they did some wet sanding, this is where this went wrong. So this brings me to talk more about Tesla's paint quality. Now we know quality control is basically the biggest issue with Tesla. Overall, most people agree that Teslas drive great, that they last a long time, that they have great batteries, the best battery tech and efficiency of any electric cars out there. However, their paint quality is pretty bad. When I asked them to compare Tesla to someone like Toyota, they said the quality of materials from Tesla is very good. It's very good paint quality materials that the car comes with. But they said with quality control, Toyota is way better. Lots of companies are way better. So the good news about the materials is that at a detail shop, that's something that they can work with. There's enough material there and it's good quality that they can work on it to improve on it after you get the car. So let's look at the before look at what the car looked like when I brought it into this detail shop. You can clearly see a lot of adulterating, as the detail shop put it, as well as just swirl marks and all sorts of stuff that is basically Tesla trying to fix bad paint jobs. And there's a lot of evidence of it all around the car. When you put it under the lights, you can really see it. I mean, from a distance, from a few feet away, it's not the kind of thing you would notice unless it's in direct sunlight. But when you get up close, it's a little disappointing. But once they started pointing that out and talking about what they could do with it, that's when I realized that a detailing process like this is kind of essential when you first buy a Tesla. Now, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel for a lot more videos about the Model Y, Tesla, and tech in general. So of course, with those lights up, they were inspecting it and really paying attention to what the car needs, because every car is going to be different. If another Model Y that is red comes in tomorrow, it's going to have a totally different paint situation going on. And that is normal for cars. There's going to be some variation on all cars, so they need to pay attention and know what they have to work with and what they don't have to work with. So what they did for that is they actually took a tool that measures the depth of the paint all around the car so they can see what they have to work with. And usually on this meter, it should be in the mid 4s to 5s. They said that in every car there's going to be some variation, but we saw some pretty big extremes in my car. We saw as low as 2.8 and all the way up to 8.9. So essentially that means if they're going to take off a certain layer of paint, at 2.8 they don't have a ton to work with there, but at 8.9 they have a lot to work with. And that's a really big inconsistency right there. It wasn't right next to each other, but even on opposite sides of the car, it shouldn't be that different. And then of course they tape off the areas that they aren't doing any paint correction for, so that they don't have extra materials going on that part of the car. And for this car, it was mostly just the trims. So once they figured out where all the issues were on the car, they actually take a cutting pad as well as a polish compound, and they remove the clear coat on all the areas where there aren't actual scratches, where it's too deep to fix. In this case, most of the scratches were from the factory or from the service center, and they were the swirl marks that are actually removable. So they went over every inch of the car with that cutting pad and the polish compound, and essentially just removed all the defects that the paint had. And I was amazed at the before and after, especially under the lights. You could see before that the car came with all of these swirl marks and all these fixes, and then after, it looked beautiful, it looked brand new, it looked better than the first day I got it. And of course, they're only paint correcting everywhere that it's actually necessary. It's not like the entire Tesla comes just terrible with scratches all over it and swirl marks and all this stuff. It's not that at all, but they were fixing all of the issues that it did have. So that whole process has two stages. The first is the correction to actually correct any of the issues that the car has, like I've been mentioning. And then the second is polishing, and that brings out that shine and gloss in the paint. Then of course, after they've done all that, there's tons of inspection going on, super detailed, just making sure every inch of the car is totally perfect. So that was just the decontamination as well as the paint correction. And in my opinion, I think every owner of any car should get that right away, especially if you're planning to care for this car and if it's a new car, especially a Tesla because of all the issues I mentioned earlier. But then you want to protect that. So what they did is they put this ceramic coating on that's supposed to last about 2 years. So that ceramic coating is hand applied and hand polished all over the car. And at pretty much every detail shop, but this one in particular, there's different plans plans depending on how many layers you're getting on there, which ceramic coating materials you're actually using, and how long you plan for it to last. It seems like the ceramic coating was actually the easiest process because at that point it's completely clean, completely paint corrected, and they just have to apply that all over the car. It seemed like the paint correction definitely took the longest. But still, I brought it in the morning and picked it up in the evening, so it was a very quick process for these two things. If you were to get PPF or something like that, it could be a couple days, but definitely worth it. So after the ceramic coating was applied, they went around and just made sure everything was still perfect, and they removed a few water spots that had been there probably from when I had washed it. And what they used for that was a specific compound as well as quadruple zero steel wool, and then they used very specific microfiber towels after that, and then a waffle weave towel. It's a whole process. But honestly, I learned so much throughout this whole process. I really had no idea going into this that it would have this many paint issues, and then I also had no idea how they could fix them and how to properly protect them. The last things they told me were to not put like a normal wax on the car after the ceramic coating because that just doesn't work well together, and that wax is kind of an outdated way to protect your car because it washes off after a couple days. The other thing they said to make sure is just to get some detailing spray. It doesn't even have to be a special one, just to have on hand for any bird droppings or anything acidic that could get on the car and maybe damage that ceramic coating, especially in these first 2 weeks while it's really bonding to the paint. And then they told me I needed to wait 2 weeks to wash the car to allow the ceramic coating to really bond, and that's been sad because I've actually gotten into washing this car a little bit and I really want to wash it. But of course, after I finally get to wash it, it's going to be so much better than it was before. I guarantee I missed some things in this whole process. There's so much that goes on and it's so meticulous, and they were explaining everything to me and I was happy to learn it and hopefully pass it on well to you guys. So if you have a Tesla or are planning on buying them, let me know in the comments below. What process do you want to get? Do you want to at least get some kind of detailing, just a ceramic coating on top of that? Or do you want to get a PPF? Or do you not plan on doing anything at all? Again, I highly recommend getting this process. I didn't really have plans for it, but then I just ended up going for it, and seeing the whole process really encouraged me about my car. And it 100% looks better than the delivery day, and 100% looks better than when it was returned to me by Tesla service. Now, I learned a ton today about car detailing in general, and specifically Teslas. I had a great experience at Detail Union, so if you're anywhere close to Los Angeles County, I would definitely look them up and check them out. You can check them out in the link in the description below. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more updates about Tesla and tech in general. Like this video if you appreciated it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.